Hi there, Jeff here from the Wetsuit Centre, talking to you today about the Billabong Xero Furnace winter wetsuit boot for 2014 into 2015 winter. It's a 5mm boot. Not often that we do a review on a wetsuit boot or an accessory, but this particular boot has got a lot of technical features. It's very different from other winter wetsuit boots, and we've been really impressed with it, so I thought it's worth doing the video. So the Xero Furnace boot, it's essentially more of a sock than a boot, but it has boot features, if that makes sense. Basically, most winter wetsuit boots concentrate on obviously keeping your feet really, really warm, but also protecting the sole of your feet. And obviously, as a result of that, you get like a thick foxing on the bottom of the suit. They construct it in different ways, which give it a different feel, give you more feel on the board. But ultimately, you've got this big sort of rubber material between yourself and the board, which a lot of people don't like. It doesn't feel good, you can't feel the board, and they're horrible to put on after you've been wearing nothing for the whole of summer, basically. So there's been a few attempts at making a more flexible boot, like the whole sort of dipped process, to give it more of a feel of a sock, but obviously while maintaining sort of like a durability. And they haven't worked fantastically. The sort of dipped technology is okay, it's getting better, but it is very vulnerable because of that sort of material, which is it's vulnerable to tearing through the nails and that kind of thing. And it might not actually be that warm because you can't play around with bonding it with like a thermal lining, that kind of thing. So I think Billabong have done a good job of creating something which is a bit more of a sort of like a hybrid between a sock and a boot that's not going to fall apart. And how they've done that is with a lightweight neoprene, so the most flexible AX2 super light neoprene, so it's nice and flexible the whole way through. And instead, on the sole of using like a traditional rubber foxing, what they've done is they've used the sort of the knee pad material, the Duraflex material on the sole. So you get that around the sole of the boot there as well. Okay, it is a really, really robust material. Okay, and obviously they use it on the sole of a socks a lot of times. So they have used it for socks and that kind of thing, for bodyboarding, for summer, that kind of thing. And then they've gone over the top with sort of like a gum material as well. The bonuses of this is it is going to feel like a sock essentially, so you're going to feel the board underneath your feet, you're going to feel your traction pad, and for those people that hate wearing boots within winter, this is going to feel fantastic and offer a really good alternative to a traditional boot without losing too much warmth. Because it's 5mm, you can see around there, and it also has a thermal furnace lining. Okay, so it's got that back-combed polypro running the whole way through. It's done in a hexagonal fashion, which basically allows Billabong to patent it, or to get around the patent where other brands and sort of companies have got different patterns patented. So there's no real sort of technological benefit, apart from they do say the channels help it dry quicker to pull water out of the boot. But I think it's just really more down to patent. It's got that backchrome polypro, so it's nice and fluffy, feel great when you put your foot into the boot, dries nice and quickly because it pulls water out of the fabric, but also insulates you and keeps your foot warmer for longer. Okay. And on the joints, you get the liquid taping on the outside of the boot as well, just to help with the longevity of the boot and make it nice and robust and stop any water coming in through the seams. On the really sort of delicate parts of the boot, like around the heel, they do put the foxing, and that's not going to interfere with the sole of the boot, so you're not going to lose any feel around the heel. And then you get the liquid taping around the outside of the foot, and then a bit more foxing between the toes, again where it's a bit more vulnerable, and you're not going to lose too much feel on the boot itself. On the top, you again just get that sort of foxing just to reinforce the boot, and then you get that nice soft lycra on the outside. The boot itself, you can sort of like crush right up to sort of give you an indication of how flexible, how good it feels, and it's a split toe to allow you. The split toe, there's sort of an argument, but in terms of how sort of comfortable it is, and some people don't like the split toes, but split toes are really, really necessary with something like this, because you need that split toe to stop the boot rolling around your foot. So when you're turning and you're pushing on a turn, it's not going to slip and roll under your foot. So that split toe is really vital with something like this, because you haven't got the Velcro or the sort of rigid foxing to tighten it around your foot. So they've gone with the split toe, and I always go with the split toe anyway, because not only do you get that sort of effect of stopping the boot rolling around your foot, you also get it allows your toes to move individually, which again is adding to the feel and the movement within the boot. That foxing, the thermal lining goes the whole way through the centre side of the boot, double stitched around the sort of top of the boot just to make sure it doesn't fall apart, and it is a 5mm boot the whole way through. So for people that don't like wearing wetsuit boots, this is going to be a definite winner. It's going to feel fantastic. Only downside I can see is if you've got a stony beach or a reef, then be very careful with the boot. and it's not going to be the most comfortable. If you stand on a stone on one of these puppies, you are going to feel it basically. So in terms of protecting your foot for reefs, stony beaches, that kind of thing, then obviously there's going to be a downside. But in terms of sort of like feel and maintaining a sort of a good feel and good connection with your board, then these are the ones to go for. The Billabong Xero Furnace for 2014 into 2015.